This is the Park Board meeting. It's Thursday, February 20th. Everybody's here, so we're going to call the meeting to order. Are there any announcements or there's no public tonight? It's cold. Any announcements, Chip?
Nope, nothing major.
All right. Okay. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from January 9th?
Yes.
They're actually, the paper minutes are not in there. They will post some things online, so I can share them up.
Oh, okay.
All
Okay.
right.
We should tell you up front that our server has been down most of the day today, and that's why we can't get, like, you don't have all the stuff in front of you, so.
Well, let's just presuppose they're fabulous and in order and
You
take a
pull them up, I
vote.
think, can you pull them up?
Make a
Brooke?
motion, we approve the minutes.
Can you pull them up on there?
They were just
Oh,
fine.
I see.
Might be back down again.
You'd be shocked how much we rely on computers now.
Is it the whole city server, or is it just?
County hasn't had a problem, but here we go.
Oh, yeah, see, you're gonna wanna, read these, cause you got elected officers. You may not wanna approve these meetings.
Right.
This is your one last chance.
Does anybody want to abdicate their position?
Last chance.
Give up
That's
their
fine.
crown.
You're not allowed to, so.
Good.
Okay, so we have a motion for approval of the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? Very good, vote carries. The approval of February claims. I think we've signed everything.
Just signed them all.
Do I have a motion for approval?
I motion to approve.
Second that?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, vote carries, approved. And then, Chip, do you want to talk about the Human Resources report? Do you have anything to add or say?
I don't. This is a really short one still, because we're just now starting the interview process for all the summer help that we do. I know I think for concessions alone, we got like 80 or 90 applications for maybe 25 spots. So I know that what we usually do is we'll, like Holly and Jamie will come in on a Saturday and just knock out 30 in one Saturday. So that's starting. We're doing lifeguard interviews here pretty soon too. So that's why it still looks pretty short. The next one I got a feeling is 3 or 4 pages. So.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, do I have a motion for approval of the Human Resources report?
Make a motion to approve the Human Resources Report.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, vote, anybody opposed? All right, vote carries. Do you want to talk about old business, Chip?
We don't have any really. I mean,
All right,
we're being efficient. I like it.
nice. How about new business? Revisions to fees and charges?
Yeah, okay, so half of you here were here in November when we did this, and half weren't. We have now been through a month and a half of the new fees that we established, and I want you to reconsider about 7 of the fees that we changed.
Okay,
And mainly because what we have noticed, the trend in those 45 days or something, is I can look at the revenue trends from last year and the year before. And our rental of only something very specific though, our rental of the rooms at the rec center that we were just talking about are down about half what they were before. And I've talked to a couple of people that were consistent renters with us, and one was a recovery group that was just there on Saturdays for, I don't remember, maybe an hour or two, and we priced them out, is what happened. So I want us to consider, and it's on the very first page, is the first 5 yellow ones. You see that I have the number stricken out, what it was, and what I would like for you to change it to. And that's still more than it was last year, but it doesn't price people out that way. The other one that I've noticed that we had, we're down on pool rentals, and you're thinking, who rents the pool in January? And be shocked, a lot of people do, because they're getting the prime dates that way. Those are the smart people that are doing it up front. That one is also down, and and it's only one of them. It's on the second page. It's only both of the pools. So we've rented the other 2 with no problem, but the one that we've had a problem with is when you rent the whole facility, okay? And so we've asked a couple of people why. And before, because you got to remember, these prices that we're looking at are not including 7% Indiana sales tax. So when we raised the fee for both pools to 300, what it did was it knocked it into the $650, $660 range. And people are like balking at that. But if we make it down to 275, then it puts it at 588. And we're like, what's the big deal? And we all do this in our life, we just don't think about it, it really is that retail psychology that if something's 588 versus 605, you think there's a huge difference between those numbers. There's really not, but in your head there is. So the 275 would actually bring that rental to 588 total. That's why I wanted you to consider that one. Now on the almost the very last page, are 6 new fees that we did not talk about in November. So this will be the first time that we're hearing about them. One is, we just omitted it from the first time, and we've actually talked about it since then, is we have the community garden that's on the corner of South Street and South Main Street. We did about a $38,000 renovation to it last year. If you drove by, you see that it has raised beds in it now. It's not all just, in the ground, that kind of thing. We've had about 30 calls in the last 30 days about people wanting to reserve them, which is about triple what we normally get. So how it worked last year was for one fee, you could reserve 3 raised beds, or for one fee, you could do just a traditional plot. One of the things we wanted to do was separate that out a little bit so we get more people. Obviously, we have more people that want to do it, that we give more people the opportunity to do it, because all that would give us would be 10 renters then last year. This, in theory, would give us 30 renters because we have 30 raised beds. So that would be that fee that you see. There's actually 3 different fees. If for 1 raised bed, it would be 25. For 2, it would be 40. And then if you just wanted a traditional plot that was in the ground, it would be 30. One of the things we did last year, the rent, there again, we're trying to be responsive to people that were talking to us. They wanted us to provide tools so they didn't have to carry them back and forth, to their car and all kinds of different stuff like that. We tried to tell people what the real world is, and the real world is that we replace them about 4 or 5 or 6 times, which has a cost to it. So that we built that cost into it. We know we're going to replace them 4 or 5 or 6 times, then fine, we'll build that cost into it then.
Do you provide water?
We
Is there
do.
water out there?
There
Do
is.
you have a water service?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's actually a spigot that's out there, and we have the water hoses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really self-sufficient. You don't have to bring anything with you now if you don't want to, unless you're really good and you're bringing your own Miracle-Gro or something. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Right.
That kind of thing. That's those 3 fees. The last 3, we're going to start talking about the Active Adult Center more now that it's getting closer to being done. One of the things that is blank on this page that I haven't showed you yet is what the membership fee for the new Active Adult Center is going to be, because we're not ready to talk about that one yet. But I am ready to talk about rental fees, and mainly because it's going to open up in July. We'll start opening up the rental aspect of it probably March 1st, because people will want to do, especially you got a lot of planners out there. If you're planning your Thanksgiving thing or Christmas thing or whatever, it'll give people opportunity to do that. Before it was we rented it per day over there, so this is not an hourly rental place. It's the same concept that we use at Palmer Park, if you guys have ever been to Palmer Park before. Palmer Park, you rent it for actually I think it's 10 hours is what you get. Or is it 12 hours? It's 10 to 10 maybe is what it is. You get it for the whole day. We're going to keep, that's how we used to do the Active Adult Center, was that way too. Mainly because we're not going to do it twice in a day, because then we get into cleaning issues between, things and all kinds of different things. And it requires us to have all kinds of staff to do that. If we just do it once a day, then we have somebody actually that goes over every night at 10 and cleans it and has it ready for the next day that way. Those are the 3 fees that we have for that one. The first one is we call it the great room, because we're trying to name these things that aren't the same as everywhere else, so people don't get confused. The great room would be what we would normally call the community room at the old Active Adult Center, except the new one has a really nice kitchen, has everything brand new in it, has a ice maker, all kinds of different stuff that we don't have anywhere else. So that we would recommend that on the weekend, it would be $250. And if somebody wanted to do it on the weekday, which is something new to us because we normally haven't had the ability to do that, we would do $150 a day for that. But obviously the weekend, you can't rent it during the day. It would be like 5 to 9 in the evening. You might get like a homeowners association or somebody wants to have a meeting there or something. It's possible. The other part is the auditorium. It's attached to this room, so I promise you we'll get you a tour of the place so you understand what I'm talking about. Our Town Players is going to have any theater programs in there, but it's also just a nice, huge room that holds 120 people too. So you may, for example, I could see where somebody would want to rent that side for a wedding. You know, we could actually have a formal, wedding in this side and go and have the reception on the other side if you wanted to. That would be an add-on. So in other words, we wouldn't reserve that room just by itself. If you wanted to have that situation where you needed a bigger space, then you have to do that one, and you can add on the auditorium if you wanted to. That would be $200 for that one. And then it has a really nice patio. Tammy may have saw it already over there. It's got a nice patio too. The actual patio has a little stage on it. There again, if you had a small wedding of 40 people, you could have the wedding outside. And then a lot of people, when they book weddings, always have a backup space in case it rains. Well, you could have the auditorium as the backup space kind of thing. This sounds like we actually designed it to do this, and we did. So this was part of the intent, was to have it be a flexible facility that not only would have active adult stuff going on, but it could also raise revenue to run the active adult center on its own that way. And then that would be $100 if you wanted to do that. So those would be our recommendations for that. The only other one that we would have left would be that membership fee. And we still want to do a little research, and we got time to do that. It's not going to open until July anyway. So.
Okay.
But that would be my recommendations. You guys have any questions? I'd be more than happy to answer them, or
These all
grill me or whatever.
changes seem fair. You've explained why you did it well. Does anybody have any questions about the proposed changes or proposed fees?
Make
All
a
right.
motion to approve changes to proposed fees.
Do we have a second?
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the fees and charges for 2025 are changed.
I'll report back to you in a month or two, and we'll see if that helped.
Okay,
Just to go there.
and then we're moving into the report section, the department reports.
I realize it's really cold out right now, but I would love to get you over there to the Active Adult Center before it really starts to. We've already missed the opportunity to see it before the walls went up. Now the walls are up, so it gives you a real good idea of what it looks like and how it's going to function. And
I can't believe how quickly it's coming into shape.
Yeah.
Those guys are working.
they
all
really
the
are.
time.
I think it's going to be done before July, just based on. And you may think that when you walk over and see it too, because it's really came along in the last few weeks. Maybe if you want to, and there again, we can change it based on the weather, but maybe at the next meeting, maybe right after the meeting, we'll just advertise that we're going to, at 4:30, we'll go over there and do our tour kind of thing. So
Yeah, that
Cool.
sounds great.
Yeah, I'd love that.
it'll help you too, like I said, when we start to talk about, well, what's this room and what's this room and how's this function and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm a visual person, so I want to see it when we're talking about it. So.
yeah, I like to see it too.
Other than that, it's coming along real well. There's something else I need to tell you about that. It's not necessarily the Active Adult Center, but it's, so one of the things that we did, and there again, I know Tammy lives near there, we took out a really nice playground
Yes, we did.
in this park. I have the first design that you can see. I had the playground company, was going to give us 3, so I like options. I want you guys to pick from different things. And the cool thing about it is it's the same company. So if you like something in one thing, we just put it over in the other one and make it work. I'll have those for you at the next meeting. So one of the things that way, Tim, if you knew people in your neighborhood that wants to see it or whatever,
My
then
grandbabies.
yeah, there you go. Test it out with all kinds of people if you want to. And But we'll do that the next meeting. I'll have some renderings for you to see, and I don't think anybody was here when we picked out the Youngs Creek playground. That one, we had 18 or 17 different playground proposals, and we just lined them up in the room and said, go pick the one you like. Yeah, and that's how we picked the one we have. So we'll do that on a small scale again. Obviously, it has to be something that's going to fit on that site now, but the first one I have already looks good.
That's fun.
So it's going to have a really nice playground. Right, I think
That's
we've,
going back, I was wondering about that.
yeah. I think we have budgeted right at about $100,000
Okay.
for that. So it's going to be a nice playground.
Will it be handicap accessible?
It will be.
All right.
Yep.
We like that.
Yep.
Scott Park expansion.
If you haven't been watching, if you're not an avid city watcher or something, so that dates back to, my gosh, Beth, I bet you were on the park board when we first talked about this, now that I think about it.
I was, actually.
You had to, yeah, you had to be. This has been a 12 or 15-year-long journey of trying to figure out how to expand Scott Park or move it or something, whatever we're going to do. We finally were able to come to an agreement with the people that own the property just north of Scott Park. So it's off of Commerce Drive. So if you've been through there, I mean, so this new facility will actually have an entrance off of Commerce Drive. The redevelopment commission met about 3 weeks ago now and approved the purchase of that property. So the redevelopment commission, Krista is currently working on the closing for that property. They did come to an agreement. So we are about to be the owners of 40 additional acres just north of Scott Park. Big deal because a lot of the issues at Scott Park are that it's just undersized for a community of our size. If you live in that neighborhood, man, you should love that news because
Yeah, parking.
all the the parking and the traffic and all that kind of stuff should almost go away because of this new entrance that will be off of Commerce Drive. So it's a big deal. Been working on it a long time. So securing the property is step one. Step two now will be, what's a concept plan going to look like? Because what we'll probably do is just design a whole new facility that wipes out currently what you see at Scott Park too, and just start fresh on the whole thing. So it should be.
Be like indoor and outdoor?
It'll probably be all outdoor.
Okay.
Well, maybe some indoor. You never know. Depends. But we're trying to make it. What we've been talking about so far is not just baseball and softball, but it'd be more than that. It could be soccer fields. It could be. We've talked to some horseshoe pitching people. Obviously, the big trend is pickleball.
Yeah.
All those kind of things. It has the opportunity. It has some space in that land to have an additional dog park if we wanted to.
Oh, that'd be good.
Even so.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
good.
Are there any drainage issues?
I'm sure there will be.
Oh yeah, it's almost all in a floodplain. So.
Yeah.
Which is currently why nothing's there, I'm sure. So, but you can do two things in a floodplain. One is you can have a farm field, and the second one is you can have a park.
Yeah.
So those are your two things. So,
Well, good use of it then.
yeah.
The events list, updated sponsors, who do we have?
That's that nice bright one. And sponsors. They're both. So there's 2 pages on there. There's a list of different events, obviously, in the bright colored one. So there's a lot more events that go on at the amphitheater than just the 8 concerts that, we get the most advertising for. There's a lot of things that go on. We have a family movie series. There's what we call Arts at the Amp, which is sponsored by the Brannigan Foundation that does some smaller concerts. I'm sure maybe you've heard of the Happy Enchiladas.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's local bands like that do different things. We do free Zumba classes, all kinds of different things that go on over there. I think it ends up being like 56 different events that Holly and her staff put on over there. So I tell you, show you the list because there's a lot of things that go on, but it kind of corresponds to the next list, which is the sponsors list. If you've ever been involved in, and I know all you guys have probably did some kind of event planning before, where, the first year, everybody and their mother wants to be involved, right? And obviously, that's when we have the most sponsors. It was year 1. Year 2, it dies down a little bit, but it's still good. Year 3, well, we're starting to get to reality now. Now we're in year 4. Now we're in really reality, because almost all these programs are none of this is taxpayer funded. So it's all usually sponsors or those kind of things. I shouldn't say all. A portion of it is, because especially as we get less sponsors, that dynamic will change. So we do rely a lot on sponsors. We've spent more time this year than we probably ever have. Victoria, our marketing coordinator, made a really nice sponsorship package and got it out to a lot of people, and we have even less than we normally do. So they're really working on it right now, trying to find additional sponsors. We get some new all the time that we never even contacted before, so they're still out there. A lot of people are probably still in winter mode, to be honest with you, but I think it'll pick up. But I just want you to understand that when the amphitheater was built, we didn't get any additional money for it, so it all had to be raised through sponsorships. Or, we get a portion of the beer garden money, and we obviously have food vendors we charge fees to, and all kinds of different stuff. So there are all kinds of revenue streams that come into it, but one of the main ones is sponsors. And we have some major sponsors that obviously we've locked in for example, Hubler has been locked in for 10 years. So obviously we're going to have a base of sponsors we get all the time. So where some of that comes from. So.
Very nice.
I will commend them because I know that they reached out to me and I felt really bad because I'm reliant upon Supreme Court funding.
Oh, yeah, you
And
get it, yeah.
based upon the numbers of cases that I have, and
Sure.
I took a huge hit for 2025, and I was like, please get back with me next year, but I got nothing this year.
And I'm sure a lot of people are that way. That nobody knows what the economy looks like and all kind. But we're still good. I mean, it's not like this is not devastating to us. Matter of fact, what we see probably funds all the bands and everything we're going to do anyway.
Good.
So.
Yeah, I remember when Jess was doing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the financial reports are next.
I think those are stapled there for you. There's Athens Rec, and there again, some of this might be hieroglyphics to you for all I know. But you see, we started out with about 1.45 million, and if you go to the far right, we're at 1.337. Still early, so we haven't spent a whole lot of money out of Athens Rec yet. Second page is going to be more of the actual appropriated budget for parks. So they're having some issues with the reporting right now. So don't look at the far right. Those are not good numbers. What you want to be looking at is like month to date and year to date, which are in the middle. So far this year, out of 1.325 million, we spent 147,000. So gives you in there, you can see every category where it comes from and all that good stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary yet. So. Cemetery is the same way. I mean, we're saving a little bit of money in the cemetery right now because Stuart. So the previous cemetery sexton left right before you two started. He left in December. We hired somebody new in January. He was over there before. We haven't filled his position yet. There again, I thought it was the winter time, and let's save the money while we can, because the advantage of that is that we can use that savings for part-time staff in the summer when we need them. So we're going to hold off on hiring somebody until maybe March or April or May when they really start to get a lot going on. Okay. So that'll give us almost half a year of savings of that one salary. So.
Anybody have any questions? Did you just cover the cemetery appropriation in that conversation? Okay.
next one, it says fund report on the top. So the fund report is actually cash money. So all those are appropriations, and the fund report is actually how much cash we have. And they're all normal where they should be this time of year. But I wanted to point out one to you, and it's going to be on, it's page 3 of the fund report, but it's about 4 from the back. It says page 3 fund report, and about halfway down, it has, the account number is 4443, if that helps you. And it's a park impact fee fund.
Okay.
Okay, so park impact fees, we haven't really talked about yet, but park impact fees are when a new house is built in Franklin. The developer is actually the one that's charged for a park impact fee. I believe it is currently in, I don't know, it's 1173, I think, per building permit is where that actually fee is collected at. It's the building permit stage. There's been a lot of houses being built, actually. There's a lot of development going on at the moment. So that is almost at 200,000. It's at, yeah, 194,366. That money can only be used for very specific things. So it can't be used for landscaping, for example, and it can't be used for employee salaries. It can only be used for new capital improvements. Can't even, like if an old shelter house fell down, I can't even use this money to build a new one. It has to be a new amenity somewhere in the community. You can also, the reason I bring this up is that one of the other uses of the money that you can use is that you have to, by law, do a new park impact fee plan every 5 years. You can also use this money to pay for the plan. I tell you that because I can't believe it's been 5 years since we did the last one, but it has been. So I just engaged with Jeff Peters and Associates, the financial planners for the city. They usually write it for us every year. I met with them 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're going to start that process again. We have till the end of the year to really have it approved by the city council. But for the next few months, we'll be having maybe some discussions about what do we think. And the cool thing about this plan is it's not just 5 years out. We have to look 10 years out. What do we think Franklin looks like in 10 years? What do we think it looks like park-wise and, leisure-wise and those kind of things? And then they base the fee on what we think, the amenities should be in 10 years from now. So the fee when I first started was like $380, and now it's $1173, which, by the way, is extremely, extremely low around compared to other communities. Do not compare us to Carmel. I can't believe I'm saying this on YouTube, but I believe Carmel's is nearly $5,000.
Oh, they got a lot of roundabouts to build.
They do. So just, that'll be another thing you'll get is you get a comparison of 12 communities that are similar size to Franklin plus in the metro area, and it'll give you an idea of what everybody's fee is. But we'll do that process in the next few months. You'll get a report maybe in August or September. Give us time to look at it and scrutinize it, and then it has to go to the city council and be approved. And then after it's approved, probably in December, then it waits 6 months, and then it'll start in June. The new fee will go into effect.
Will the report that we get include the comparisons to other communities of about size? I'd be curious to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because Franklin has just come so far in the
Yeah.
park space, and that is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Remember when we were talking about the Greenway Trail, my first
Yeah.
park board term?
Yeah, I tell people all the time. So if you don't live in the parks world, because I live in the parks world, we have a park system that rivals a community of about 100,000 people. I mean, it's really a nice park. Matter of fact, I get calls from all over the state for people wanting to, how do you do this, or what do you do this, and that kind of things. We're lucky in Franklin.
you said, well, first you schedule a flood, and then
But you can only do it once every 500 years.
exactly.
So
You got to be ready.
take advantage. Sure.
Yes, we don't want that to be a typical year.
No. So that the reason I say that is because we'll pay for that plan out of that. So we really don't have 193. I think the plan will probably cost us about 18,000 to do. So it's not that much. So.
Anything else with regard to financial reports? Anybody have any questions?
I got one more thing, because it has to do with Jeff Peters and financials. Rock and I met with them, and so, Beth, you're there again. We're going to put something about your first tenure.
Yeah.
We did a park bond almost 14 years ago. That's what the aquatic center was updated, and we did all kinds of different projects with it. Believe it or not, that is about to expire again. I know it doesn't seem right. So that's something else that I'll have you pretty heavily engaged on over the next years. We got to try to figure out. Now, I think I have the number that we have to live within, but then what are we going to do park-wise? Because that only comes around once every 15 years. So this is our opportunity to. And I've had discussions with the mayor about this. Is that we currently operate a pool that was built in 1985. Now, to those of us up here,
Really?
that doesn't seem that long ago.
No, it does. It seems like a lifetime ago.
But in the pool world,
That's old.
means it's 40 years old, and they only last about 40 or 50 years. And we've already did one renovation to it. The reality is, I just don't think we can afford a new one. A newer ones today are $25 million.
Well, and look at what we have local high schools doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to have to live with the one we have, but the point is, then we need to renovate the one we have to make it last at least a minimum of another 15 years, right? Until the next time.
Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid.
That's exactly what it is. The rec center's the same way. It's hard to believe, but the rec center was built in '99, which makes it 26 years old. It's time we do the bond, it's going to be 27 years old. If you add 15 years to the 27, then it becomes a 42-year-old building. Then that means we need to do some renovation to it now to make it last another 15. The building is not in that bad a condition, actually. It just has some old stuff, like it needs some flooring replaced in certain places. We're not talking about millions and millions of dollars here, but we are talking about things that need to be done to make it last another 15 years. We'll be working on that the next few months. I'll start to give you numbers of what things look like. One of the other things that we'll look at in that process will be playgrounds in parks. A lot of playgrounds that we have, over half of them have probably been replaced in the last 15 years, but the other half haven't. And some of them are 30 plus years old. So we're getting to the point where, there again, if I add 15 to that, they're going to be 45, 50 years old. So we need to be thinking about, are we going to replace them with this bond that we're getting ready to have? So those are the kind of decisions that we'll have to make, what that stuff looks like. That's the fun part about this, is that you didn't think it was going to be all fun and games. Now we got to make some hard decisions about.
Pick out a slide.
That pool was fun. That was picking out the slide.
Oh, yeah.
Splash. That was fun.
We did all that stuff, yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I was
Looking
15.
forward to it.
Well, it's cool thing is, it makes a huge. I mean, we're going to make a lasting impact on the park system for sure.
Very
so.
nice. Well,
Anyway.
fun to be back.
Yeah, you're
Just
gonna
in
love it.
time.
You got it.
Okay, does anybody on the board have any comments or questions or anything? All right.
I don't.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All